Class today we'll go over the benefits of receiving education in the military. Okay, education in the military. What kind of things are we looking at? I mean, what's the difference between waiting until we're out of the military to start our college education to now? Any ideas? Thank you.
Well, you might as well do it now so you get the extra money for it, as well as you don't know how long you're going to be in the military. So if you're in there for a long time, by the time you get out, say you're in like 15 years, and you get out and you try to do education, then you're already behind the power curve. If you do it while you're in the military, you get out, you can already start whatever it is that you want to do.
That is correct. And another big thing is too, is that generally when you get out of the military, something called life likes to creep up on you a bit. I'm going to tell you right now, not everything works out quite as smooth as you have planned, because the people that you see doing some of the lower end jobs, it's not because they're lazy or anything like that. Next slide, please. It's not because they're lazy or anything like that. In all actuality, they're out there busting their ass just like the people in the businesses that aren't getting dirty or anything like that. So just because you work harder doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get paid any more. Think of it kind of like in banking. You know, if you put a little bit in at the beginning, by the time everything gets said and done, you got a ton more at the end. And it works out the same way with college and getting good education, because as you can see on the screen there, you know, you have a waitress on your left-hand side. You have a you have a construction working crew, which I have relatives that works in a crew like that. It's not, the job isn't easy. The pay's okay, but how long do you think your body can continue to do that? So I know if you're planning on retiring, a guy like me, I'm not going to be looking at an entry-level job no more. It's not because of pride. It's just because my body can do it for a day, and then I need like 2 days to recover. So no job that I know lets me work for 1 day for 8 hours or 9 hours, and lets me go off 2 days to recover from the first day. So the person in the bottom corner, that's a teacher. Even a teacher, I'll be at like physical labor-wise, the teacher probably has it the easiest out of all three. I'm not saying teachers get paid great, but just because they have that education, they don't have to do as much physical labor. Like out of all these jobs here, you could probably end up being a teacher the longest. Just the wear and tear that it does on your body, so you can actually sustain that lifestyle the longest. Next slide, please. Okay, we've already gone over something like this beforehand in the past, right? A couple weeks ago we went over this class, and it shows you why, as a specialist, you make about $56,000 a year. Okay, so once you go to the next slide, it's going to go ahead and show you make that $56,000 a year. Next slide. It's going to show you what kind of college level education you need to make that. Okay, now this is based off of 2010 Bureau of Labor Statistics. So these are the averages, and you also see a split between men and women. So for the women in the military, it works out real well because, you know, a sergeant gets paid the same as a sergeant regardless of race or, you know, sex or anything like that. But up here you can tell that there's a huge difference. All right, especially when you look at the bottom rung or with 4 years of high school, because I didn't even go anything lower than that. Because if you're in service, you already have your 4 years of high school or GED. But you're looking at that. This is not the entry level pay, by the way. This is if you work between like 20. I'm sorry, not 20. But if you work the whole time there between the beginning of when that person worked the entry level job, the whole way to the highest one, that's the average of that whole time period. So this isn't saying as soon as you get out, you're going to step into a job making $40,000 a year with a 4-year education. That's not what it's saying at all. You can actually start out making a lot less, and generally not much more. All right, we only have so many Snowdens running around. You know what I'm saying? He's the exception to the rule. He does not have any kind of conflict at all. Okay, so I would not rely on that, period. Next slide, please. Okay, here we go. We have financial aid, okay? Tuition assistance. Tuition assistance covers up to $250 per credit. All right? So most college classes are 3 college credits. So you can have up to $750 per course, well not per course, but because I guess you have some that also go up to 4 credits and 5 if you want to go into like the sciences, which you do offer those online now as well. So I know like for my degree before, I couldn't get none of my sciences online because I needed a lab with all of them. And within the past year, I can get 6 of them now that I couldn't get. It's from the same university as I had before. So you have that. It goes to $4,500 annually. Now that changes, or that could change every year. I'm not sure how sequester is going to hit it because they're talking about lowering this. I'm telling you right now, most of the colleges I see right now, unless it's local, $250, they cap it out. And it's no coincidence either. They know what we get paid, what we're allowed for. So you get that $250 they may even stay there. Who knows? But some other things that you have that really help you out a lot is, I want to skip down to grants real quick, because you can still get a Pell Grant and get your tuition assistance. In fact, I'm doing it right now. I got $500 back for taking 2 classes. All right, so it covers books. It covers books, and you can get more back than that, but think, I mean, you make less than I do. So based off of that of itself, I know when I went to college, it charged me $250 per credit, because right now I'm only getting charged $150. I got back $1,000 almost every time, every semester. So what I'm stating though is that you have to take at least 6 college credits, get partial Pell Grant money. And that's free money, straight up. So the other times I took the classes going on, and this is while I was in E7 going through too, so you guys should get about the same amount if it's $250 per college credit. So, you know, I'd spend $500 on books, $500 on my motorcycle. So it worked out pretty well for me. All right, I want to go to the post 9/11 GI Bill. Okay, the post 9/11 GI Bill, you can get it while you're still on active duty. But what's some of the disadvantages of taking it while you're on active duty compared to when you get out?
You don't get BH stipend.
There you go, you don't get BH. BH, your basic housing allowance, they pay for you up to an E5 for that whatever area you're in. So it's not a set rate, because obviously if you go to Honolulu, how much did you get paid in Honolulu for BH?
It was $1,300.
So she was getting paid $1,300 as an E5. I think it was a little, with or without dependents?
Oh, without.
Without, exactly. So that's the thing, is that you'll be higher than that, and that's in Honolulu. But the issue is you lose out on that money if you decide to go this route while you're still on active duty. That's why I'm always stressing this route, because let's be honest, how many times do you take more than 1 or 2 college courses at the same time anyways, while you're on active duty? Really? Exactly. Exactly correct, unless you get some sort of GI Bill option. But that being said, so I would always push for the tuition assistance with the Pell Grant. It works every time I use it. Okay, you just have to make sure you get the 6 college credits in. All right, loans. I've never had an opportunity or a reason to use a loan yet, because I continually use my tuition assistance with the Pell Grant. Never had a reason to use a loan yet for college. If you think about it, a lot of these kids coming out of college, they owe $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, and so far I don't owe nothing. I've got about 130 college credits right now, and nothing owed. Next slide, please. All right, I want to go back to this again to just, I really want to hammer this home. These money amounts, yes, they're also dictated as well by profession that you decide to join. Because my wife, who's going to get an associate's degree, just a 2-year college degree, will start out making $44,000 in her field that she wants. That's more than about 30% of your 4-year graduates. So take these numbers to heart. I mean, especially when you look at, I like to look at this one down here to a master's. That's about a 6-year difference. It's double the pay. I mean, it will take you less than 10 years to make up that time period, or to make up the money amount, and then the rest of the time, you're just doubling your pay. And trust me, you'll be kicking yourself in the butt if it's a job you actually love. And especially, I can speak for you too, especially if you didn't get the formal education, but you've been doing the job long enough as a guy who got a college education, you're like, I can do this. And in fact, when he leaves a job, you can easily pick it up and run with it. You'll get frustrated if you do that for like 10 years, and you're like, what did I do? And it's because you didn't spend the extra 2 years or whatever, or 6 to do it. Next slide, please. All right, once again, hard work equal good pay? Yes, but it takes more. It also takes education as well, because there's something called socially, where you stop at, your children have a real hard time making up to the next step. All right, so think about it. If you're a single parent and you have a job, it doesn't pay a lot, but you have to work those 2 jobs to make sure your children are fed, the bills are paid. It's real hard. What's going to happen with the kids then? Because you didn't get the education beforehand. And I mean, it's not necessarily your fault you couldn't get that education before. But the issue is here's where you're at now. You don't have the education. Your kids hardly ever see you because you were working 2 jobs. And do you really have that time to actually sit down with them and go over, hey, you need to go over your math or whatever like that? No, because you got caught in this circle over here of work, and you really don't have to.